I wanted to talk to you about something serious here, Jemele, because these things happen pretty slowly to the tearing down. When we find out that people that we loved once upon a time, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, these things don't happen quickly. And it would appear that Diddy right now is in the middle of this happening. And it feels like he's about to have a whole lot of people come forward with the freedom to not be afraid of his money and his power. So what do you think is happening here and is going to happen with Diddy?
Well, I think once the floodgates were sort of opened with his ex Cassie coming out with the allegations that she did, which were very serious, very, they were damning. To be totally honest, I think as we see the pattern with all of these cases, it takes one person. That person has the bravery and the courage to come forward, and then suddenly you hear many stories, and or you have many allegations that surface. And I think with Diddy, usually a lot of times with these people, I can say this was the case with Harvey Weinstein because like I'm not embedded enough in that world to know, but I know that in general, when it comes to these accusations finally coming to light, they have been the subject of whispers for many years. So these are, you may now be finding out the gory, awful, tragic, horrible details, but there's always been a lot of whispers around some of these people that when we finally sort of understand the depth of what the allegations are against them, it can be jarring to a lot of people because a lot of people have put people like him and the people you mentioned, Bill Cosby, they put them on pedestals. These are people who have been entertaining us for decades, not just 1 or 2 years. And so at this point, I don't know why we continue to put these people on pedestals or why we continue to act surprised and stunned when more often than not, the combination of power, money, of being completely unchecked and having enablers, it typically does not lead to the greatest of behaviors. And they don't all have to be as serious as the allegations against Diddy, but they typically don't lead to the best behaviors in people. I'm not saying that we should not allow ourselves the luxury of entertainment. What I am saying, and to some degree, we actually see this with Cam Newton, and trust me, I can link it there, is that every time we elevate people who are in celebrity positions beyond the station of just being people who entertain us, we find out every single time that your faves are problematic.
You don't expect him to keep his freedom, right? Like, I mean, we can all do innocent until proven guilty, but there's so much here and it's been talked about for so long. You expect Diddy to be able to survive this with his freedom?
I actually do, but I think his reputation is the damage is irreversible. When you think about how he was moving in the business world, I don't think anybody in their right mind wants to do business with Diddy, and it's only unfortunate in this way. And I'm not saying that this should be a reason that people feel any sympathy whatsoever for him, but usually these people have built an entire economy around what they do. And so it's not just about Diddy, it's about the people that have become sort of part of the empire he's built. Like I think about Revolt. I know a lot of people who work over at Revolt. These are really good, talented people. And I'm wondering like what's going to happen to them because of all of this. Because anything right now with Diddy's name on it is toxic. So it's not just about him. He's sinking everything that he's been attached to. And so I expect him to maybe survive with his freedom, but his reputation is gone. And if he had any higher aspirations in business, I just don't see how that's even remotely possible now.
As a veteran of journalism who's not often surprised by things, and for those who do not know, what are the worst of the details when you're reading through this and you're like, oh my God, this surprises even me, even though I've seen just about everything here?
Well, so I think people are sort of having the wrong conversation, is that they have made this about Diddy's sexuality, whatever that may be. It is not about Diddy's sexuality. It's about whether or not he abused his power, whether or not he committed a crime, and whether or not he was assaulting and has this awful track record of abusing young women. That's what this is about. That's where our outrage and shock should be directed toward is that, not toward who it was. Who it was doesn't matter. The method and how he operated is what matters. And so I think the violence of it, because, while there's been certain incidents that Diddy has been alleged to have done or whatever, I don't think that people necessarily looked at him as having this violent persona. And so hearing about some of these details, that part of it, and I just think the depravity of all of it, to want, if there's any possibility that he could have really hurt some people, not just emotionally, but physically. I mean, that all of that is just very sickening, to me. And unfortunately, as a result, then you see why we need to have more conversations around educating people about sexual assault, so that sort of the ignorance factor of all of this and how we're processing it, that part I'm always disappointed in.